Hello, this is Dennis, and today we will talk about large language models with a spotlight on a ChatGPT API. My journey with this remarkable technology has been filled with a lot of discoveries, and I want to share my insight with you. The goal of this talk is to inspire you starting building your own AI agent, to make some experiments with ChatGPT API. This is very interesting, very excited. So if you try, I will be happy. I make the structure and the feeling of this talk and presentation is including everything that I want to know before I start building my first AI agent. So I hope the information I will provide it will be very useful. So let's start from agenda. What we will talk about. First of all, we will discuss what is LLM in a developer's perspective. We will skip the hard part about neural networks, about transformers, and so on. We will discuss it in a perspective of developers, how we can use it in our daily routine, in our business, and make some awesome stuff, new awesome applications. Next, we will cover what is ChatGPT API, and I will talk you everything you need to know for working with ChatGPT API. Next, I will share with you techniques how to extend ChatGPT API with your own knowledges. And then share with you techniques, tips and tricks that I'm using as a AI developer, ChatGPT AI agent developer. Okay, let's go and discuss what is LLM and what is ChatGPT API in developer's perspective. For me, ChatGPT API, this is API to meaning of the texts. We need this API to understand human text and also generate new text based on the understanding of a text and the knowledges that ChatGPT already have. For nowadays, ChatGPT knows internet data from April 2023. So also take a note that we can extrude we can get not only the meaning, we can also get something like a temperature of your intonation of the words and the meaning of each words and all the words together. So what does it mean on a practice? Let's go and look at ChatGPT API. But before, we need to know some techniques, some terms that we need before we start working and making our first query. The first term is the token. What is the token is? Token is the fuel of ChatGPT. Token on English, if we use English while working with ChatGPT API, token is one word. If we use different language, one token is one letter. Here I provide the tokenizer application that convert our text to tokens. I just copied this text, put it here and get 149 tokens. This token is you will be charged while you're acquiring ChatGPT. You will be charged for incoming tokens that you will provide in your query and outcoming from ChatGPT tokens. And here is the pricing. The most cheapest model is GPT 3.5 Turbo, and the most expensive is ChatGPT 4 with 32K context. Okay, what is context? This is the next term that we need to discuss before starting working with API. If you're working with ChatGPT UI, you know that AI understand the history of your conversation. So you can ask them to provide a list of 5 and says, tell me more about second, and they will understand what do you mean. The context is all the content that you provided in a ChatGPT. It means in each query that you make, you need to provide all the history, all the question that user was asked, all the answer that assistant has provided, and also if you want, for example, summarize some big text or some complicated text, you provide this text, and this text is the part of a context. As much context we have, it means that the ChatGPT can understand all the context that you provided. In the latest version, ChatGPT 4 Turbo, we have a context of 128K tokens. So we can put the data of this size, and the LLM and ChatGPT will handle it. Okay, now I understand what is tokens, why they need it, what is pricing, how does it works, and what is context. Next, let's jump to ChatGPT API. ChatGPT API is stateless REST API with streaming and paying as you go. I think we covered the paying as you go topic, so let's discuss what is stateless. Stateless, it means that the ChatGPT didn't stores the history of your conversation. On a last OpenAI conference, dev conference, they announced that they handle history of conversation, but it works for special API. It's called Assistant API. We're talking as a developer. In most cases, you will use another retrieval API. So to handle context and history of conversation with your agent, you must store all the conversations with you and with user and an assistant by yourself. Store it in a database or logs, whatever. But this what means stateless. They didn't remember the state of your current conversation. Streaming. Before we cover what is streaming, let's look at Postman API and see how does request looks like. Of course, this link I will provide in a reference of this presentation. To make a first request, we need to provide post HTTP request, REST request with the body, with model that we want to use in our case is GPT 3.5 Turbo. The messages, this is our context. Messages, this is the array that consists of the object with two parameters, role and content. If content is just a text, role, it can be user, this is what our user asked, assistant, this is what AI answered. Also, it can be system where we can provide our prompt. Prompt is the behavior of our agent. It means you can say you are a helpful assistant helping me to figure out how does JavaScript works. And when you ask something from assistant, they will trying to be like role you provided in a system prompt. Also, it can be function call role, and we will discuss it later. So we provide the model, the messages, the context of our discussion, and some parameters. Let's start from temperature. Temperature, this is the creativity score, where 1 is the most creative and the 0 don't be creative at all. Use only the facts. If you want to generate some story, I think you want to ChatGPT be more creative. If you want to make a analytics from the data you provided, I think you don't want any hallucinations. So you will set up 0. So as more creativity we have more hallucinations. And the next parameter that we want to discuss today is the streaming. Stream, in our case, stream is false. It means that we will get response when all the answer will be generated. If we set true, we will get the answers word by word. This works this is not socket. This is a regular HTTP connection with service send event. We just make request. This is request is alive, and we get the answers from our server. Okay. Next, how we can extend knowledges of ChatGPT with our own data. There is the two common techniques. This is fine-tuning and RAG. First of all, fine-tuning is techniques where we provide our knowledges, our data to we create some kind of version of LLM with your own data, and every time we talk with ChatGPT, with your model, with your fine-tuned model, they will know your maybe style that you provided, knowledges that you provided, and everything that you tune it to this to model. This is a very useful technique in a lot of cases, but most popular technique for extending data of ChatGPT is using RAG. What does it mean? Retrieve, augment, and generate. It means we need to look through a collection of documents and find relevant. We need to retrieve data. Then we need to augment this data that we get with the knowledges of ChatGPT. So combine it with knowledges that they already knows and generate, based on it, response to user question. In some cases, we want to prompt LLM with do not use your own data, just use context that I provided. So we get the relevant data, provide to our context and get the answer from this context. This is the RAG. Let's look how does it work step by step. First of all, get our data, then split this data to little documents. It can be articles, it can be documents, it can be functions if you augment with some kind of code. This is depend on your task. Then we embedded this data. What does it mean? Let's jump to Postman and see create embedding. What does it mean? We take a text, specify model, and get the response. What the response is? This is just numbers. Actually, this is the point of your text in a. This is the coordinates of your text in a 2K dimension space. Imagine that one parameter of it is like a property of this text, and we have 2,000 properties. So we have the points of each splitted text and index of our documents, and we put it to vector database. Then we get question from user. We also convert it to a point in a 2K dimensional space, and then ask from vector database, please provide me most closest documents. It means most relevant documents. And the vector database will sort the document that they have in a order of nearest to user question. That's how we will get most relevant text. Take note that the closest, it means closest by meaning. It will be works if your knowledge is on, for example, on Romanian and question on English. It will work because they get the meaning. So what we do next? We get all the document that we have and provide it to context with our query. Then we ask please answer on a question I have provided you with the context I have provided. Here, this is how we get answer with RAG. Also, I must to cover some techniques, some features of ChatGPT API. This is the functions and JSON mode. Function is if you make the agent that more complicated than just a chatbot, I think you will prefer to get structured answers. This is why the GPT functions was created. You specify function, and this function is just JSON object. Put this function with your query and says your and set a parameter. I need answer with function or answer with the text if you don't want to get function call, or set up auto mode. It means a model will decide that they need to call functions. Function have the name, have the parameters, we specify description of it, and LLM will look at it and then call it. What does it mean calling it? We will get this kind of response. It means function name, get function weather, and what the parameters we want. Then we just parse this response and make a query to our database or making external API call and make whatever we want. In the latest update of OpenAI API, we can call a lot of functions in a single request. So next, I want to cover the JSON mode. The JSON mode is something like a function, but we just specify, please answer with JSON, and specify what the answer we want. This is a not trivial task, because if you trying to get the JSON response before, you will ask them to make a JSON response. Yes, they will be answering with JSON, but not every time. But you want 100 times to answer with JSON. But they sometimes answer with not JSON, sometimes answer with not valid JSON. And in a new release, the developer says that JSON mode works much better. Next, let's briefly cover the main techniques that we will use while developing our AI agent. First technique is few shots prompting. This techniques is about providing the examples of questions and answers. We will ask some question and provide the nearest the same questions and the structure of answer. And in this case, the LLM, the agent, will answer much better. Next technique is the chain of thoughts. The most basic using of these techniques is just ask at the end. Let's think step by step. And in these cases, LLM are answering much better. This is most simplest and very powerful techniques. If you heard about that LLM makes some software, make Python game, they use step-by-step techniques, chain of thoughts techniques. It means they ask, please, I want to make snake game. Please make a plan. What should I do? They make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How to implement step 1? They say, then and you asking your agent with the chain of thoughts. Do this, then do that, and this is very popular and very powerful technique. Take a note about it. Next techniques, this is my most loved techniques. This is evals. Evals works when you get the list of questions and human validate answers. It means that we have a question and 100% sure that the answer is correct. This is answer provided by human. Then we ask the same question to the model, to our agent, get the answer and compare it with LLM, of course, and ask, please provide the score where 0, this is different answers, and 1, this is the same answers. And LLM will provide something between it, 0 and 1. If we have a lot of questions, then we have a lot of scoring. We can summarize it and get benchmarking. This is this is the difference between that you are doing something that going to garbage or a production ready solution. Okay. Next, let's cover some tips and tricks briefly, because I have spent a lot of time and I want to talk much more about each of the topics that we cover. But anyway, let's go. First of all, I heard that somebody thinks that ChatGPT 3.5 is better. No, it's not. Use GPT-4. GPT-4 Turbo is more cheaper. Use it. It's awesome. Don't use framework. This is my opinion. I'm experiment with LangChain, and I think that for my purposes, for my goals, ChatGPT API is very simple to use it, to handle it by myself. I just used SDK, and framework brings more complexity for my cases. Machine readable output, this is what we are talking about. JSON mode and function. This is very useful. If you want to handle your answers from ChatGPT. Error handling and retrying, this is about sometimes API will respond to you just with error. It's I don't know why, but take a note about it and handle it. So make a retries. And of course, streaming. Streaming is a faster. So trying to use streaming for especially if you are if your response are for users, it's not a systems. So that's all. Thank you for your time. This is Dennis. Bye bye, and try to make your own AI agent.